Hello, I'm Jeff Hussey, and I live in the western part of the United States. Well, I'm someone for whom words are important. And when we returned home from our travels with Andre, several of my friends and family asked about our experience. And my initial response in most cases was this: in the beginning, there was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And it wasn't in English. So for me, what was special about Andre's teaching is the breadth and depth of his understanding of the language, culture, and context of a land where scripture has really played out over history, and the pastoral way he communicates that in a meaningful way for people in the modern age. Back to the language and context and culture. I know enough French and Spanish to be dangerous, but English is my prayer language, so to speak. I know lots of English words. There are lots of words that have multiple meaning, but in common lexicon, most of them have one or two at most. However, in Hebrew or Aramaic, the language of scripture, all the letters have multiple meanings, and that adds context to the words they comprise. So what that's meant for me is that it's completely changed the way I read and think about the Bible, because you have to go way below the surface of the English text to actually understand what God's trying to communicate to us. Striking to me, the dive down into the first three letters of that word, Rob, R-A-B, or however you say those in Hebrew, and how a person who's a Rob is a person of great wisdom about life and the scriptures and God, and how that person is someone who is generally highly esteemed in the community of, particularly the community of faith. And then in the case of Mary Magdalene crying out to Jesus, Rabboni, it was her saying, "You're my person, my mentor, my spiritual director, and I recognize you now." And I have to say that Andre has some of those qualities himself. I had the benefit of hearing your teachings initially riding around in a bus with you rather than online. And looking back, I wished I would have had the teachings online and then had them enriched throughout the tour. The connection between the words and the places, and the subtle but obvious meanings really illuminated the scripture in a way that it hasn't been for me, despite spending my entire life attending church and studying the Bible and so forth. If someone's a person of sincere faith, there's no reason for them not to really seriously consider these teachings, because they are different and they are so much closer to the source than most of the teachings we experience in the West. And so I can't really recommend it highly enough.